fraternity, my friends from the fraternity, and guests from Varanasi. Thank you for being there. It's nice to see the numbers increase, so it's quite gratifying. Thank you. Well, my topic today is lifestyle interventions in CKM syndrome. We'll be talking about Diabetic 1 and Predimed Plus studies today, and talking about their intervention and how they have affected the treatment of diabetes and pre-diabetes treatment. To talk about what is CKM syndrome, well, it represents a paradigm shift in cardiovascular medicine, which is a systemic disorder defined by deeply interconnected pathophysiology, linking cardiac function, renal health, and metabolic regulation. So, to see, it is about 90% of US adults are affected across the CKM stages, 0 to 4, which we will be talking shortly, underscoring its population level significance. There is a paradigm shift from treating just one organ to integrated cardiometabolic kidney risk management. The scientific basis is that it's formalized by the American Heart Association 2023 scientific statement as a unifying clinical and research framework. Now, to talk about the stages of the CKM syndrome, the AHA staging framework stratifies this syndrome across a spectrum from metabolic risk to overt cardiovascular disease, enabling stage-appropriate intervention. Stage 0 is no metabolic risk factors, where prevention is a focus. Stage 1, excess or dysfunctional adiposity with the onset of prediabetes. Stage 2 marks the entry of hypertension, dyslipidemia, or established diabetes. Stage 3, subclinical CVD, or early disease without symptoms, whereas stage 4 happens to have clinical cardiovascular disease, which is now overt and symptomatic. To talk about the pathophysiology of the CKM syndrome, the architecture of CKM syndrome is characterized by self-reinforcing cycles initiated at a level of adipose tissue, which is excess as visceral adipose tissue, which drives peripheral and hepatic insulin resistance, initiating the metabolic cascade. Systemic inflammation with its low-grade inflammation and oxidative stress impairs the endothelial and renal tubular function across the vascular beds. The endothelial dysfunction, widespread vascular injury underpins both atherosclerosis, microvascular kidney disease in CKM syndrome, and MASLD, the metabolic dysfunction associated steatotic liver disease, which amplifies the cardiometabolic risk as part of the multi-organ damage. To talk about the Diabetic Study 1, it is a feasibility trial of enhanced cardiac rehabilitation in coronary heart disease patients with prediabetes. So this was the first study which was done in a cardiac rehabilitation center wherein the patients were also with prediabetes. The Diabetic 1, its background and rationale, it bridges the clinical gap as I just mentioned. Patients here with established coronary artery disease frequently harbor concurrent prediabetes, a metabolically active state that accelerates atherosclerosis and worsens cardiovascular outcome. Yet, standard cardiac rehabilitation programs historically have not addressed prediabetes reversal as a primary objective. Diabetic 1 was designed precisely to fill this gap. Can an enhanced multimodal cardiac rehabilitation protocol achieve prediabetes remission in secondary prevention patients? The study overview was at Montreal Heart Institute, primary focus being prediabetes reversal, addresses secondary prevention in CAD, and it was published in the BMJ Open 2023 October. The study design enrolled 36 patients, adults aged more than 40, with recent prediabetes diagnosis and established coronary heart disease. It's stretched for a 6-month duration. It was intensive structured cardiac rehabilitation delivered across 2 distinct phases at a cardiovascular prevention center. The HbA1c range was selected to be between 5.7 and 6.4%. Eligibility criterion, pre-diabetes confirmed. The study setting was at Cardiovascular Prevention Center with multidisciplinary team support, including cardiologists, dietitians, exercise physiologists, and behavioral specialists. The phase 1, from 0 to 3 months, the first phase established metabolic foundation through structured dietary and exercise modification under close clinical supervision. The dietary counseling had reduction of ultra-processed food intake combined with moderate carbohydrate, less than 40% of energy, Mediterranean dietary lifestyle pattern, emphasizing food quality and anti-inflammatory nutrient composition. Besides, supervised exercise schedule, 36 supervised 1-hour sessions delivered 3 times a week, combining continuous aerobic training, high intensity interval aerobic exercise, resistance training for optimal cardiometabolic health. The second phase, from 3 to 6 months, introduced time-restricted eating as an additional metabolic lever layered into the established dietary and exercise framework. The 8:16 TRE protocol, wherein 8-hour window with a 16-hour fasting period was given to the participants. Compliance was required at least on 5 days. Diet continuation with Mediterranean and emphasis on quality maintained from phase 1, reinforcing established dietary patterns alongside the TRE. Autonomous exercise, there was a transition from supervised exercise regimen to now an independent exercise training supported by ongoing multidisciplinary guidance. The objectives of this study, primary outcomes. As a feasibility trial, this study was designed to assess the practicality of implementing this intensive protocol in a cardiac rehab setting. The recruitment rate and enrollment feasibility, program completion rate, participant adherence, and TRE compliance were taken care. The secondary outcomes, biological and clinical outcomes, were assessed to generate effect size estimates for future RCT trials. Proportion achieving pre-diabetes remission, that's less than 5.7% HbA1c. Factors clinically associated with metabolic remission. Improvements in cardiometabolic parameters, including weight, lipids, blood pressure, and the glycemic indices. Key findings were: feasibility was confirmed with its recruitment, retention, and protocol. Synergistic effect, most importantly, a combination of diet quality, structured exercise, and TRE appeared to act synergistically, producing cardiometabolic benefits exceeding standard rehabilitation. Metabolic remission with pre-diabetes and metabolic syndrome remission, as I said, HbA1c reducing less than 5%, 5.7%. Mechanistic insights, results suggested that metabolic underpinnings of ASCVD, not just as cardiac fitness, it's achievable within a rehabilitation framework. Now to talk about the PREDIMED study, the PREDIMED Plus study. This study was built on the landmark PREDIMED trial by incorporating calorie restriction and a structured physical activity program alongside the Mediterranean dietary pattern. The trial was designed to address the dual burden of overweight, obesity, and metabolic syndrome in an older at-risk population. The trial design was of Spanish population, multi-center, randomized controlled trial spanning 23 centers, enrolling 6,874 participants, one of the largest lifestyle intervention RCT conducted in the cardiometabolic field. Targeted population included individuals with overweight and obesity and metabolic syndrome, precisely the stage of 1:2 CKM phenotype, in whom lifestyle intervention has a great test potential for disease course modification. The primary focus was for type 2 diabetes and major adverse cardiovascular events through sustained lifestyle behavior change, with 2023 diabetes prevention results as a landmark output. This study, as I said, had 6,874 participants between the age of 55 to 75. It was Spaniards and women and men aged 60 to 75 years. It was a 6-year follow-up with a mean follow-up duration enabling robust assessment. BMI was in the range of 27 to 40 kilograms per meter square. This study arms the control group. The participants received a standard Mediterranean diet recommendation supplemented with extra or virgin olive oil and mixed nuts, consistent with the original Predimet protocol. There was no calorie restriction program, no structured physical activity intervention, general health lifestyle advice was only given, and regular dietary counseling sessions were held. In the intervention group, though, a more intensive multi-component program targeting weight reduction, dietary quality, and physical fitness was simultaneously discoursed. 30% calorie restriction for about 600 kilocalorie a day deficit was from the baseline was advised. Per day, 45 minutes of moderate to intensive physical activity was advised, and intensive behavioral support sessions with a weight loss targeted for at least more than 8% at the end of a year. This trial, the 2023 prevention findings from this trial showed 31% risk reduction, the hazard ratio of 0.69, a statistically robust and clinically meaningful reduction in the incidence of type 2 diabetes, early benefit onset, divergence in diabetes incidence, curves emerge within the first 6 months of intervention, indicating rapid metabolic responsiveness to this program. Absolute rate at 6 years was 12% in control participants versus 9.5 in the intervention participants, which developed type 2 diabetes, representing a 2.5% risk reduction. Now, this mechanism of benefit was the Mediterranean diet style adherence, sustained activity of at least 45 minutes per day, sustained through 6 years, weight loss of 3.2 kgs at least for a month, and a waist circumference reduction of 2.8 centimeters. The cardiometabolic improvements were reduced fasting plasma glucose, lower fasting insulin levels, and meaningfully decreased HbA1c, reduction in leptin, interleukin-18, MCP1, lipid profile, improved triglyceride levels, and favorable HDL cholesterol changes, and syndrome severity, significant improvement in composite metabolic syndrome severity scores. Now, the comparison between the two, the Diabepic one as against the Predimed Plus, well, you see that there are 36 patients here against 6,000 odd, time-restricted eating advised in one, whereas it was reduction of the calories in second. Cardiac rehab was advised in one, whereas the second was a multi-center study in Spain. The clinical interventions is lifestyle intervention as a cornerstone of CKM care. This is what all the previous speakers have been talking about. Mediterranean diet with calorie control is important. Energy-restricted Mediterranean dietary pattern demonstrates robust efficacy in reducing diabetes incidence, improving the syndrome parameters, and accentuating cardiovascular risk. Early intervention is the target. Remember that when we had seen the stages, we said when it's stage 1, stage 0 rather, that is the best time when there is no symptoms. That's the best time that you can actually intervene and make the difference. Time-restricted eating, the bracket of 18 is to 16, wherein you give the 8 hours gap to eating and the remaining 16 for fasting. And at that time as well, we have to be sure that they just don't eat anything. It is as per what has been prescribed to them. The multi-pathway targeting, combined diet, exercise, and eating pattern interventions. Integration with CKM pharmacotherapy. Well, lifestyle intervention and pharmacotherapy are not competing strategies. They are synergistic pillars. When combined, produce outcomes neither one achieves in isolation. So GLP-1 receptor agonists, says GLT2 inhibitors, reduced medication burden, and personalized CKM staging is important. The key takeaways are thus: robust evidence base has been there for both the trials. Mediterranean diet as cornerstone is consistent in both studies. TRE shows promise, and the implementation gap, translating trial evidence into scalable, real-world clinical practice remains a primary challenge for us as healthcare professionals. So future directions, of course, we can go further for the RCTs, digital health tools, precision medicine integration, and CKM-specific endpoints. So these are the references, and thank you. Any questions, I'll be happy to take. Or maybe you would want it later, Manshadi? Questions at a later stage?
Yes. Any question for audience?
Thank
Very insightful presentation. Susmadi, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Or you cover.
Sure. So we are talking about walnuts, we are talking about almonds, we are talking about pistas. You can have even cashews, but in a limited amount. What needs to be understood and practiced is, when you talk about badam, that's almonds, they need to be soaked and had with the skin. You know, general tendency is that you soak and remove the skin and have it. Secondly, they should not be roasted, or even if they are roasted, they should not be salted. So that's for the nuts. So there is no one nut which makes the difference. It is a group of nuts because everyone has a specific benefit. Besides the nuts, it's also the oil seeds. So you're talking about chia, you're talking about sunflower seeds, flax seeds, etc.
There's another misgiving, as far as I know, the Mediterranean diet includes a small amount of intake of alcohol.
Yeah.
In India, because of various social customs, many of us are not willing to take alcohol. The other big problem is that if you promote alcohol for the sake of improving cardiovascular health, there is a big chance for misuse. So what is your take on that?
That's a wonderful question, sir, and I'm happy it has come from you. Well, you know, we endorse the same. So for a person who's not drinking, we do not, actively promote drinking. So, and if I may say so, both these trials have had their setbacks as well. So it had been retracted, the Predimed trial had been retracted, though it was then introduced in 2018 again. So as far as alcohol is concerned, it has its benefit, provided it's taken with, it's taken in discretion. But if it is not so, if it is a habit, then the first thing that all of us would do unanimously with all integrity is, advise a person to go off it.
The other reason why this Mediterranean diet is difficult to implement in India, I refer to that picture in which there was a picture of a fish up in the right-hand corner. There are not many good people in India who don't take fish. The other big question is that most of these fish that they have discussed consists of large ocean fish and not the sweet water fish that we have in India.
Yeah.
So what is your take on that?
Fantastic. Let me introduce Sir first, Sir Dr. Abhijit. Sir is a professor in cardiology, so it has to come from him. So kindly give a big hand to him, friends. And I'm so happy that you are there for the presentation, something that you have said you will. So as far as the fish we are talking about, so for those who are not eating the fish, of course, we advise the other sources of omega-3 fatty acids. My friend in the fraternity would agree to. So fish is but what's also important is, for those who are eating fish, is the way you prepare the fish. So just like a friend had spoken about the AGE some time back, instead of having it fried every time, you can have it steamed. You can have it roasted. You can have it in a salad. So what is important is not only what you're having, how you're having, how much are you having. So we need to balance it. And sir, as you spoke about the Mediterranean dietary habits not being not being able to practice in India, well, let's make it simple. How I put it to my people, those who come to me, ये खाने की थाली है, 50% of it have vegetables and fruits. The remaining 50% का आधा भाग कर लो. एक में दूध दही डाल लो, दूसरे में अपनी राइस और रोटी ले लो. ये 1/4 को नहीं बढ़ाना, बाकी 3/4 आप बढ़ा सकते हैं, तो ऑटोमेटिकली उसमें प्रोटीन और फाइबर इतना हो जाता है, they don't feel hungry. And as you would know, sir, that one Dr. Osama Hamdi had suggested the sequence of eating. So what also can be prescribed in adjunct to TRE, time-restricted eating, is a sequence of eating. So you start with your salads, you go to your protein, and then you come to carbohydrate. So by the time you come to the last, you're not really hungry as much.
I wonder if I'm asking too many questions, but this is the last question for your session. You know, plenty of people in India have the notion that taking a little bit of ghee is good for their health. What is your take on that matter?
Thank you. And I'm truly honored that it is all coming to me. Well, when you're talking about ghee, again, we say that, 30% of your calories should come from, total calories should come from fat. So if that is so, there is a distribution of 1:1:1, namely from polyunsaturated fats to mono to saturated fats. So if that is what is maintained, if the person is adding 1 teaspoon of dahi, 1 teaspoon of ghee in your dal, that is all right, it's permitted. Why? Because the pleasure of eating has to be maintained. So it is not frying your puris in ghee, though there are some school of thoughts which say that ghee is equally good or it's even better than tel. But again, we are especially me, the old schoolers, I believe that everything needs to be in discretion because all these studies come and go. What is a cornerstone has stood till time, test of time. It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah.
And that is what is giving the benefit. It's not the alcohol. So it's not any alcohol, it is basically wine with the antioxidants. And secondly, so when you asked for the ghee, now ghee has short chain fatty acid butyrate, and butyrate goes towards the gut health and the gut integrity, and that is where ghee comes in. It should be there, at least a small part should be there in the diet, within 10% of total fat intake.
Absolutely.
A small quantity. 10% is our cutoff for saturated fats.
I wonder whether I'm discussing too much.
No, sir. Sir, we are all dietitians, so we are happy to discuss with you.
You know, I have a peculiar way of drinking. Let me tell you at the onset that I am entirely non-alcoholic. But these days, there is something known as zero alcohol, zero wine, zero beer, and so on. And really, I am very fond of zero red wine. So I think that resveratrol will be there, but the alcohol is not there. So my inhibitions are gone. Sugar. Yeah, if you...
That's quite in tandem
No,
with
we
the
were
zero.
saying that you take everything in moderate amounts. Don't take a lot of zero wine.
That's a marketing gimmick, so that is why you need to have one of us in your team. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Didi.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you so much.